Hello, everyone. So this was recorded, about a day or two after I originally did my reaction to this, and I really want to go ahead and put in my afterthoughts, just because some of you guys have been asking me for me to go ahead and do that. But before any of that, I just want to go ahead and say two big important things, right? Number one, the following episodes, in case you guys don't know, and I hate to put this up out there, but it's true, contains a lot of violence. Best way for me to put it, if you guys aren't into that or whatever, heads up. Also, just be aware that there will be a lot of stopping, a lot of analysis. And finally, if you or anyone you know is going through, a really, really dark time, they're in a deep hole, they might be thinking about suicide or anything like that, the National Prevention Hotline, like suicide prevention hotline, is down below for the United States. For those in other countries, I'm pretty sure that, like, reaching out to that same number, like, it'll redirect you to where you're from. Please, like, no matter what, if you feel lonely, or wherever life may take us, because trust me when I say, like, I've been in a similar spot before. So I just think it's really important to go ahead and put this out there, because some of the content may be heavy and may trigger some people. So please just remember to take care of yourself. As I say in every episode, practice some self-care, and I'll just go ahead and just jump into it. Thanks so much for staying, guys, and thanks so much for being active in the channel. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. So I'm just going to go ahead and continue. This is literally like recording right after I was done with the other one. So we're just going to go ahead and continue from there. Anyway, hope you guys are having a good day. Practice that self-care, and let's go ahead and go on. The sound effects that they added to this, like falling and just, oof. I mean, it's out of your control. Oh no. Oh gosh. I'm literally just like at a loss for words right now. Ooh. Talk about discerning. Oh, that was a lot to take in. Oh, okay. I'm at a loss for words, because that just went like from 0 to 100 real quick, and it's like, oh yeah, we're not just gonna explain anything, just figure it out. Okay, so let me process this real quick. Uh, it- if you're in a situation like that, right? So, like, what I'm leaning towards is essentially like him as a character. I think if he doesn't take care of himself correctly, or if he doesn't start thinking things through, he's probably gonna end up like in a mental breakdown or having extreme panic attacks, anxiety, all of the above. Because yeah, that's gonna be rough. That's gonna be more than rough. Like, wow, 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 wow. Oh no. Okay, if you guys just came from the other video, you'll know that at the end I put up Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and this is literally what happens, or what, like, in terms of mental health decline, when all of a sudden, stuff that we thought was secured starts getting just taken off, right off, without like any warning, without anything like that. So, going through something like that, that negative self-talk, that negative schema that we brought up in the previous episode, yeah, I believe it. I could believe it can make someone just genuinely, I'd say not go psychotic, but go to the point where you draw yourself into your own world essentially, and you know you're emotionless or emotion full to the point where it's hard to express anything. Oh wow. He's just gone, huh? Like nothing there. I mean, you're not wrong, right? Oh, oh. Isn't that something though? Like even in this world, like if it was one thing to go ahead and like be cursed or whatever, right? Like they'll try and heal them and they're trying their best. But like even like the conclusion that came up on was like, oh, it's his mental state, like take care of him. Is there anyone that's going to be able to like, they're actively like, it's that I wouldn't say actively worried, but it's like that sense of like, oh, like, is he going to be okay? Like just that genuine concern and sincerity that sometimes comes off where I hate to say it, sometimes depending on the country that you live in, mental health is not viewed in that regard, and sometimes it's even like brushed off completely. So, okay, so we're back at the mansion. Luckily, God, his eyes. It literally took 1 second. Oh no. Oh, they just booked it with him. Imagine just that happening to you, which is like you're with your partner or with someone you care about, and all of a sudden someone just picks them up and it's like we're booking it with them. How pissed off would you be? Because I'm pretty sure I'd be pretty fucking pissed. Just saying. Oh God, who is this? An archbishop? Ugh. Talk about it like a creepy entrance to a character. What? Oh, and he's still broken. I am creeped out, intrigued, destroyed. I, this is a character that, like, I guess once in a opportunity you get to like one, like his introduction just overall just blows me away, and two, like, wow, okay, so I did a quick little like 2 episode thing on Death Note, which is like is light psychopath or sociopath, right? And there's a clear definition between one and the other. And if we're talking about just the anti-personality like spectrum in general, for those of you that don't know, that's sort of the new classification in the DSM-5. Anyway, the big difference between one and the other is one sort of born that way and the other one is made, right? So I just wonder with the way that he's acting and everything, if literally the representation of everything that he wants is quite the opposite. Uh, or if I don't know, I really can't put a guess on it. I just wonder if he was born this way, this archbishop, whatever, or if he was created into it. And if that's the case, who is the real, I guess, who are the real people? Because like all these people that are there, are they also created or were they like born that way? Were they born into this cult? And that's sort of like the big question I have in mind. I don't have, usually I can go ahead and like pinpoint like random things, but this just threw me through a loop altogether. And I'm not one to just like stay quiet about things, but yeah. Wow. Ooh, a copy of the gospel. Is he also a therapist? Why? For what reason? Oh gosh. Yeah, yeah, he can just be absolutely mad. Wow. As I said, guys, I'm truly at a loss for words 'cause I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. I'm creeped out. Oh, she's lost it. Wow. Whoa. Wow. What? Wait, what? Oh no. Just like, what am I watching? Oh God. What a way to make your heart sink. Ouch. Also, can we give an award to like his voice actor of the Sin Archbishop there? Like, what a way to literally like introduce yourself as like the big bad, I'm guessing. And like just using your own voice to creep me out. Like that's awesome. I wonder what made him that way, and the way that he was speaking to Rem that like last little bit without like going extremely crazy in one direction or the other, doing any of his weird hand signs that he does when he talks or his weird gestures. I wonder if, like, in a way, that's projection of himself onto others. This whole ideology of love and sloth and not being able to express your emotions, or your love towards someone. So I wonder if this is why he like clinges on these certain words as like a trait of one's personality. Like it's projection that's very common, especially in therapy. I genuinely feel bad, like for him, because this is like his second run through, and yeah, just think about like how much one can take. Oh no. Wow. My heart. Even the background score and stuff. Wow. It's like they're just trying to make you feel like absolute garbage. Powerless, actually, if we're gonna go by like a real word. Wow. Like even as like we're going through this, like it's like, oh wow, like is there despair or is it just genuine like powerlessness that like one feels throughout this? I mean, the only good thing that can come out of it is you literally having this newfound villain that you can like attach yourself to and try and like form your surroundings against. Wow. Even Ram was taken out. What am I watching? This felt like I was watching one of those like samurai movies. especially towards very some cinematic episodes, especially towards the end. Just I'm a little blown away, a little blown back, because like the pacing, uh, the expectations of every episode just changes accordingly. Yeah, that's probably the best way I can put it. Anyway, there seems to be a little bit more. I wonder if he's gonna like use that newfound anime to try and motivate himself. Ooh. So I wonder if this is where like we now get the opposite because he was going extremely avoidant, confusion, you don't know what to do. Now you flip the script and you become really like, whoever you can find that comfort zone in, you attach yourself and you don't let go, you try and run away. There's other solutions to this issue as well. But yeah, that's one way to look at this episode. It's all very unique and of itself, and it like my heart hurts a lot just watching the way that like he had to go through that, especially because like trauma is trauma. It if you induce it in one way, it's still gonna carry through into another. But please, guys, remember to practice some self-care. And if you're in a dark place or whatever, a hole, however you want to describe it, reach out to your natural supports, call your national hotline. I'm sure someone out there is willing to hear you out. And I will say this is the PSA throughout the majority of these like episodes or whatever, especially if I feel that they're a little dark. I will put it up just because like I value your guys' life, your health and everything. And more importantly, like, it's important that like we at least try and help out mental health wherever it's needed. Anyway, I love you guys. Practice some self-care and I'll talk to you guys soon. All right, so you stayed till the end of the episode. I told you I was going to be jumping in and putting in some more thoughts, comments, and everything. Because editing this through, like, more stuff came to mind. Because I realized that, like, as I was recording, right, something that came to mind was like I was genuinely shocked throughout the entire episode, and I think I was shocked because I didn't expect the transition to come this quickly, right? Um, in sort of the other avenue of things, like beforehand, like it was a slow and steady build up, with the first arc. Okay, you know what, they introduced the drama, it was right there, it was him getting disemboweled by uh the stabbing mcstab stab, which that's a reference towards that lady killer, what was her name, anyway. So like with Rem, it was like a steady increase until you find out, oh, it's actually her. What are you gonna do about it? Right. And then like, okay, the dog's situation happens, which it gets resolved, right? Critical thinking, boom, ships into the royal selection. And then from the royal selection, he gets beat up. They just have this very empathetic episode, the book like 2 episodes ago. And then all of a sudden it's like, hey, the mansion's getting attacked again. And it's only been a couple of days since what previously happened. So there's a lot to take in, a lot and a half. So what I'm going to go ahead and analyze, just jumping in with this, is give it a little bit more of an analysis for those of you that stayed for the reaction. I'm sure you guys are like, wait, what? You know, technically, yeah, like in the previous ones, I already gave bits of information throughout it, especially like I was just like, oh, damn, because really my anxiety was a little too high when I was watching it. It's simply because of watching the way that like things were proceeding and putting myself, as a psychologist, sometimes you have to empathize with individuals, and sometimes your over empathy in a situation when you're working can lead you to literally putting yourself in an environment like in the set mindset that like a character would have, right? So with something like that, for example, with Subaru going mad, quote unquote, um, it literally is just crushing. It is just crushing to see that happen over and over again. And let me break it down. All right, we're gonna break it down into chunks. So I have four big things I want to analyze and I kind of want to ask questions about, right? The first question was regarding REM. Right. So congratulations to those of you that wanted a REM analysis or a REM question thing. So don't get me wrong. As an individual, I think she make a wonderful, like, if I'm being honest, if like she'd be a pretty cute like girlfriend to have and all that, sure. But I think there's a lot of baggage to go through. And I think there's a lot of stuff that we like put to the side just because, and this shows you sort of the standards as to like how individuals treat themselves and how individuals are starting to see what is best for them, right? What do I mean by this? I mean, like, when you yourself define the standards that you want to be loved as, that's sort of what you search for others, right? And seeing how affectionate and how this and that she is towards Subaru, right? Sometimes we want that for ourselves. So it's a weird projection thing that we tend to do. So what I was thinking as I was watching this episode, especially because of the previous episodes as well, is what would happen if this was like a tabla rasa type thing, which is like a blank slate, right? You take off pretty much all of the memories, everything that makes them who they are at their core, and just leave their primal instincts, right? If say that like it was Amelia, right? Do you think at a primal instinct that she would all of a sudden change and be with Subaru? I don't think so. I think those attachments, those wall attachments that she has, those barriers and everything, it's like she's a little kid that has never grown up, right? If we're talking about Amelia, like she's a little kid that like stayed in the mindset of a little kid and that is scared of the world around her. And that's her schema. That is who she is as a prime individual, right? So if someone were to approach her and be like, I love you, she's gonna be like, I don't know what that is. I don't understand you. What are you talking about? Like, tell me more, right? If we're talking about Roswell, right? If we were just like erase all of his memories, everything as to who he is, and make him come back down into a prime state, he would probably go into a state of trying to get power or manipulation or something along those lines. I'm not sure if this is making sense. But like, let's take a Rem into a blank state, right? Or Subaru into a blank state. What would Subaru be? Um, Desperate for affection. I think overall, if we were to like bring him back down to his like blank state, it'd be probably be like the first person that gave him attention or that showed him any sign of welcomeness or something that he'd attach himself to, and that for him would probably be his new Amelia. What was Rem's first blank state that we saw, right? And it was hatred. It wasn't hatred towards when we find out later, it wasn't hatred towards Subaru. It was hatred towards the scent that Subaru gives. So, you know, it's literally like juggling a knife, right? In one aspect right now, he's straight up just juggling a knife with like and grabbing it with the other end every single time. But if a tabula rasa was ever to happen, and she was just to go like a completely blank or whatever, one day she just comes back and like she's in her prime, she will more likely try to kill you or not understand why you're being friendly. Have her walls back up, have everything as an individual, right? You can say, oh, she changed because Subaru, you know, taught her that there's more to life and whatever. As a psychologist, I would say that that change was way too quick. Granted, there is like ignition and like how would you put it? There's a spark, right? In every therapeutic setting, there are sparks that happen that allow an individual to go ahead and make that transformational journey. With her, however, I felt like that was a rushed spark. Like she's always been teetering towards the edge of the self discovery, and even if Subaru like rushed that start for her, um, how would I put it? It feels as though she would like if she were to revert back into this tabla rasa, like type like primal, like this primal state, she would more than likely just avoid, be suspicious, have those walls up, care about herself and her family. And I know that you guys are like, wait, but right now she's caring about Subaru. She's caring about like this, and that, right? Okay, no. Fair point. Like right now she is caring about that. But don't we all have that point of infatuation when we, as individuals, especially if you're not like, if you haven't gone through life a little bit, we literally start changing who we are as individuals to try and mold ourselves so that the person we like can like us as well, right? So in a way, that's sort of where I'm seeing this, and it's a bit of a toxic scenario where she's putting herself in, where she's when you put someone up on a pedestal, you are doomed to fail, right? And that pedestal will never hold that person for long, whether it's Subaru with Emilia or whether it's Rem with Subaru. The people on that pedestal are not going to stay there at all. So I hope that sort of clarifies some of my thoughts about her in that regard. Still, would I love a shirt or a plushie of Rem? Absolutely. I wish I could like put up a PO box or something and like, you know, probably wear it or something along the lines because I would wear the shit out of even if it's cringy. I'd totally wear it on stream and like record videos and stuff. But yeah, so Beltogis Romani Conti, which sounds like a Latin name. uh, my thoughts on him, and this is where things get interesting for me. Um, First off, creepy, absolutely creepy. If there's one thing I took away from this, is how much a voice actor can do with elongating the way that he talks, right? The way that he uses certain vowels to express certain situations, which I guess is normal, but I'm sort of used to more of like the Spanish or like the Western way of doing it, like in most video games and stuff. Like it wasn't as elongated as sing-songy as like I just don't know. I don't know how else to explain it. It's like very sing-songy, creepy, but very well done. So let me point this out, right? And this is going to be, as I said, this is probably going to be half as long as like the actual analysis, the reaction side, just because it's important that we cover all topics. Projection. I think that's a key thing that we see in here. I already touched upon the sociopath, psychopath scenario with them, right? Um, and I wonder about his past, right? And you will hear me say this with every single character. I wonder about their past, right? He seems focused on love, and I'm guessing that it's like the witch's love or something like that, or it's whatever sentiment he had that, like, for whoever that may be, that transferred through. So I wonder, right, essentially how desperate, because first off, I think it's like Frozen Bonds, like not Frozen Bonds, Memory Snow. I haven't watched Frozen Bonds. Memory Snow was when Puck was gathering all the like mana in one place, right? So I wonder if that's what triggered them, because at the end of that movie, you see a bunch of hooded cloaks, and I think that was them, right? And they were just waiting for their attack. So, like, what are their connections? That's my first clue. What are their connections? What are they doing? Where's everyone? Right. Number two, if we're gonna go through with this, what are the hooded people in connection to him? Three, what is the gospel? And this is something that he brought up to Subaru in the episode itself. He was talking about the gospel. And I wonder, right, if this affection, this extreme, this gospel, or this like belief of a gospel or whatever it may be, is actually the trigger point, right? So if it is a trigger point, or if you add it to like, if the gospel changes who you are as an individual, at that point, we can rule out like a majority of like the psychopathic side of things and go towards more of a sociopath that was like created for a situation, right? Or forced to become into this individual that he is for a situation. So that's just my overall thoughts. There's questions I have, rather well said. As a character, I think he's awesome for the series. I think it's awesome that we actually get to have a big bad. And I want to know where he goes with this. Overall, I wonder. Here's my logic. And you guys can be like, you're wrong. What are you doing? You're shooting in the dark. Yeah, for those of you that are like watching, this is some of the deleted stuff that I usually take out because it goes way longer than expected in most videos. But I just decided to go ahead and like add this one in, or edit this one in before I post it up, because I feel like you guys should get a small sample of like sort of my thoughts and stuff that I throw out there sometimes, whether it's crackpot theories or whatever. Anyway, my thoughts in terms of like the times, right? So there's been mention of the dragon, there's been mention of the witch or witches or whatever. There's been mention of um, the witch cult. There's Subaru and all of this, right? The biggest mention of all And I think this is something that it's important for me to like address is the times, right? All of this is happening. While all of this is happening, right? The times are what change the narrative. And, you know, you can say, oh, well, what do you mean by that? Surely at the time that like the dragon, the witch, and all of that, right? Even before then, surely there was another big bad. Surely there was famine. Surely there was like, I don't know, crazy monsters out there, crazy individuals just like Betelgeuse or Betelgeuse or whatever that were out there causing havoc, right? And surely someone stepped up and helped. And after a period of time, what happens is usually individuals with higher power tend to start being viewed negatively. And the light that was once shown as individuals who helped save a nation can then be switched into the darker side, as in the light that was never shown and that they took advantage of. And rumors spread. And all of a sudden, all the good deeds that they have done, say that there was another witch. I don't know, the witch of chaos, the witch of Chronos, the witch of whatever, right? And this individual had the power to stop time for whatever reason. And heroes came up and defeated this witch. This is completely make believe. And, by defeating the witch in whatever way that they did, uh, they helped stop the immediate famine waves, whatever. But because they defeated the witch, they were now granted powers, right? It's make believe scenario, right? So as time passes, right, all of a sudden, natural famine, natural whatever it may be, are soon going to be blamed on the individuals that have the power to control this, even if they have no assortment at all as to what's been going on. And if one of them is causing that damage, that reputation spreads. So what happens when an individual, say that like I was a part of that, right? What would happen if I was, as one individual decides to take out the others, right? And take on, as I mentioned before, the role of the bad guy. All of a sudden, everyone and everything that's been going on around me is going to sing different tales about me as a murderer, as a traitor, as, the overall like, I don't know how to put it, like, anyone that would look like me is all of a sudden a target, you know, uh mystical, whatever it may be. Now, this is towards the kingdom I'm in, but what about in other kingdoms? Other kingdoms have different stories, different narratives, different everything. So this is where my worldwide perspective is curious about things. Is the situation about like the witches cult, viewed differently depending on the country that you're in or the part of the world that you're in? And also, is a witch in that scenario viewed differently depending on where you're from? Because sometimes the story is not out there, as an individual. Like if I went ahead and like did it, let's say that all of a sudden, like I killed my two other compatriots, but one of them was like literally creating monsters of famine, and the other one was literally like causing natural disasters. And I took them out because I'm like, no, like we need to stop this. And, now people are trying to hunt me down and take me out because, oh, I'm upsetting the rules of power. No one's ever going to know what they were doing. Everyone's just going to assume that I was like jealous, that I was envious, that I was, um, trying to do this for my own accord, essentially. So just throwing my 2 cents out there. I know that it's crazy, but hey, welcome to the wild side. Some of you guys wanted me to like share some of my inner thoughts and stuff about things, and there you guys go. That's just some of my inner thoughts. Anyway, I hope you guys practice some self-care. That's gonna be the end of this because this ran on a little bit longer than it should have. Practice some self-care. I love y'all, and I'll see you guys next time.